Are you content that more than 5 out of 7 new homes will go to immigrants?
Well, that's not the truth, and that's not the
That's
case.
what will happen.
Well, that's not the reality, because we've,
Well, where
in
the
particular, in social
2.5
housing.
million immigrants that are in Rachel Reeves' budget figures going to turn up? Where are they going to live?
Well, there's plenty of housing in the UK, but the houses, especially social
hang on. You can't, on the one hand, say we've got to build this 1.5 million houses and then say there's plenty of housing already.
Now, look, the competition for who is the most incompetent minister in Starmer's socialist government is really ratcheting up a notch, with Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, still can't believe it when I say that, giving 2 incompetent interviews on outlets which are very favourable to her, which is the most shocking thing. She can't even survive the mainstream media. I mean, she's certainly not going to be sitting down with you or me on Trade Walkers. These are favourable interviews. Both of them were car crashes. Let's watch along and then I'll get your reaction. So first up, this was Angela Rayner being completely destroyed by Trevor Phillips on Sly News.
On the present densities, you're going to add 3.4 million, or homes for 3.4 million people with your 1.5 million houses. On your own figures, we're also going to add to our population 2.5 million people over this same period. Are you content that more than 5 out of 7 new homes will go to immigrants?
Well, that's not the truth, and that's not the case.
That's what will happen.
Well, that's not the reality, because we've,
well, where
in
the
particular, in social
2.5
housing.
million immigrants that are in Rachel Reeves' budget figures going to turn up? Where are they going to live?
Well, there's plenty of housing in the UK, but the houses, especially social
hang on. You can't, on the one hand, say we've got to build this 1.5 million houses and then say there's plenty of housing already.
There is plenty of housing, Trevor, already, but there's not enough for the people that desperately need it. So the homes, especially under our affordable homes programme, which is social and affordable housing, they will be there for people who desperately need them, local people. We've already outlined how we're going to support veterans and people who are fleeing domestic violence.
Okay.
Councils need homes for people that are on the waiting list. I've already announced changes to the right to buy, making sure they have
this doesn't quite make sense.
So that we can deliver the houses they desperately need.
Deputy Prime Minister, it doesn't quite make sense. You start the interview by telling me that there's a housing crisis. When I remind you that you have said yourselves as a government, we're going to need 2.5 million migrants. Some of them, by the way, people are going to build the houses. Suddenly, there's a lot of housing. Where are these people going to go?
Well, Trevor, first of all, when you say about building as well, the previous government did use migrant labour far too much instead of actually building skills here in the UK. I've announced £140 million for new construction hubs so that we can train people here to deliver those housing. So I don't accept that we're going to bring migrants in for that. We've always said that actually we need to skill our own people up. But equally, we need to build the homes that people need. Nobody's had a focus on social housing for a generation, and I'm going to build those homes because far too many people at the moment are waiting on council housing lists, and I've got to fix it.
Andre, total car crash, because we know the houses are going to the immigrants.
No, listen, I'm sorry. You can have both plenty and not enough at the same time. I will say one thing in her defence. At least she wasn't wearing the mint bivouac, which she has turned up in multiple times. Wherever she bought that from, it needs to disappear. Look, do you know what frustrates me? When I talk to people and they're really worried about being able to buy a home, let's simplify the mathematics. When they say that they want a 40% social housing target for every new development, let's call it 50-50, right? I accept it's not quite 50-50, but let's call it 50-50. That means if you want to buy a house in the United Kingdom to live in, you have to buy 2. One that you get to live in and the other one that goes to those in need. Now, let me tell you something about people in need. Housing is not officially prioritised to migrants, but who are the people who have families with nowhere to go, with no relatives to sofa surf, with no infrastructure in the country. These are, in practice, migrant families. And look, I talked to you about Windsor, where I am at the moment. You know, we got incredibly frustrated because all that used to happen with us, every time we used to build social housing, it went to recent migrants who were living in Slough. And the reality was, all that happened when we built social housing was it pushed up the price of houses for our residents, and the benefit was taken by somebody else. But I'm going to tell you, it's really easy to work out whether Angela Rayner is right or wrong. Do you remember when you were a kid playing musical chairs? That is what the Labour government is doing with social housing. At the end of the day, you can change the rules to musical chairs as many times as you like, but when there's 10 kids playing and only 8 seats, 2 kids are going to end up being left out at the end of the round. Now, the reality is what Labour want to do is they want to build, you know, X number of houses, but bring in more migrants than there are houses. Therefore, it makes absolutely no difference whatsoever. As long as there are more people coming into the country than houses are being built, we will have a housing crisis. And it makes no difference what changes you make.
Indeed. That wasn't the only Angela Rayner car crash, though. Even the British Bashing Corporation,
nice.
where she is usually embraced with open arms, wasn't having her bull. Watch this, Andre.
Economic activity at risk. I'm just saying, do you think you would have a rethink on it?
Well, I think that there was an imbalance, and we spoke to many businesses. They've been working with us to get the Employment Rights Bill forward.
Can you name a company, a few of them, that have welcomed these proposals?
Well, we've worked with many of the companies.
Name a few.
I've worked with so many of them on this. I've had many roundtables, as has the business secretary, and they've very much welcomed the work that we've been doing on making sure that people...
You must be able to name a few, because I can name all the companies, the recruitment companies, Hayes, Manpower, Randstad. They've signed the letter saying this is the wrong approach. You're going to put jobs at risk. Which are the companies that have welcomed your employment rights?
Well, like I say, I've spoke to many companies. We've had many roundtables with them, and we've been discussing it, and they've acknowledged that there has to be a balance and broadly welcomed it. We've made changes as opposed to, for example, on the probation periods when we listened to what business said. So we have the probation periods as well alongside the balance of rights from day one.
Will you get me a list of those companies, and then we can call them and say, do you welcome Angela Rayner's proposals?
Well, there's been many of the companies that we've worked with,
way.
like I say, so many of them.
No answer, because, Andre Walker, there is no company that supports Labour's decision to destroy British business. But first, we've partnered with Gundry MD to share this information with you. Would you believe me if I told you inside your pantry right now is one of the healthiest foods on the planet? Yep, it's true. And it's not some weird, trendy superfood. Spoiler alert, it's olive oil. You've probably used it for cooking, but there are countless ways to use olive oil to help yourself look and feel younger. For example, olive oil is a natural way to help you achieve a more youthful appearance. Besides helping you look younger on the outside, it's a fantastic tool for your insides as well. According to Dr. Stephen Gundry, a famous cardiothoracic surgeon, nutrition expert and health advocate, you should get as much high-quality olive oil into your daily routine as possible. Whether it's taking a shot of it daily or keeping a bottle of it in your bathroom medicine cabinet. But what kind of olive oil is best for your health, I hear you ask? Well, any olive oil can give you some benefits. But if you're looking to get the best results, it matters a lot which one you pick. And the olive oil industry is really huge. You can tell, you will have seen in the supermarkets, so many brands. And you can bet they're not all made with the consumer in mind. And many brands may even cut corners one way or another to increase profits. So when Dr. Gundry came to that realization, he was rightly appalled. But some olive oils are so powerful, it may only take a few tablespoons a week to see these incredible health benefits. So, how can you tell between an olive oil that can be a health booster and one which isn't up to par? In an effort to answer that question for us, Dr. Gundry has decided to take a stand and release his personal research and findings. This video has gone viral since its release, and it's important you see it so you can start benefiting immediately. So you can watch the video right now by heading to getolive1.com/outspoken, or you can just click in the link in the description box below. I'll repeat it for you though. That's olive1.com/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. People who have taken his advice have shared their results with him, saying the olive oil they bought after learning his simple rules have helped change their life for the better. So make sure you go to getolive1.com/outspoken or click on the link in the description box below this video. But now, back to the show.
Well, I mean, we are talking in this country about real poverty. We're talking about, I always ask the question, who in this country is rich? The reality is there are a tiny, tiny percentage of multimillionaires and billionaires that are having it easy. Everybody else is struggling. People with good jobs on good wages, twin income families with a couple of kids are really struggling. What we need to be is more efficient as a country, not less efficient. And I will tell you, and I know it's not directly related, but the thing that frustrates me more than anything else is when you see what happens at things like Tata Steel, when you see what happens at Grangemouth, where we are exporting those high-value manufacturing and energy jobs to China. Do you know the Middle East produces more oil now than ever before? And because we're not consuming it, it's instead going to China, and China's selling us those batteries, which are a complete nightmare to the environment. We are destroying our economy and we're plunging people into real poverty. And you can slag off Dan Angela Rayner all day, but I will tell you, Ed Miliband is responsible for causing more poverty and hardship in this country than almost any government minister since Adolf Hitler.
And Andre, it's going to get worse
Without
because in this ludicrous, what was it, the milestones or the goalposts or whatever they are, which keep on shifting, Labour is still committed to decarbonising the electricity grid by 2030. This is a government that wants to plunge us into poverty.
And we're sat here in England. Look at Scotland. Grangemouth was or is, I don't know whether it's closed yet, 4% of the entire Scottish economy. Can you imagine the oil-rich nation, Scotland, not producing any oil at all? It is shameful. And, and when Granny's freezing this winter, we have to say to ourselves that we are rich in shale gas, we are rich in coal, we are rich in oil, we're rich in all of those things that can build an economy. That's why the Industrial Revolution happened. Where I'm from, in Lancashire, we could supply most of the country with shale gas, and all of it has been banned in exchange for lithium batteries produced by the Chinese. And what frustrates me more than anything else is that the reason the Chinese need this oil and want to put us on lithium batteries is so that they can take the jobs. Dan, I used to work in local government, right? And when they brought in all of these targets for recycling, and what we used to do? We used to ship our paper and we used to ship our plastic to Southampton, and we used to say to Chinese and Indian contractors, make sure you recycle that, guys. You know what they did? They dug a big hole and stuck it all in there. The reality is these green targets, this green agenda is nothing more than flannel. If you think that Tata Steel shut down because we're not going to have those polluting jobs anymore, mate, you are deluding yourself. The jobs have gone to China, and we have to throw people in Port Talbot onto the scrap heap. They were never given a chance. And when they say moving to a green economy, what they mean is tax British industry out of existence and send the jobs to China.
It's chilly. It's absolutely chilly. Can I just ask you on Rayner, though, Andre, from a pure politics point of view, she's still probably the most likely person to succeed Starmer, right? I mean, I don't see any way that Labour goes into the next general election with Keir Starmer as leader. The moderates in the party would love to see Wes Streeting. I don't think that's going to happen. Rachel Thieves has completely disqualified herself with her fake life revelation. So I would still argue that Rayner, despite her incompetence since becoming Deputy Prime Minister, is the woman in pole position for the top job.
I find the Rayner thing remarkably snobby. I think that, first of all, the Labour Party doesn't understand working class people. I mean, my dad was a director of the Co-op, for many years. And the labour and trade union movement has a proud tradition up north. Look, at the end of the day, you know, those coal miners, those trade union officials, the people who built the co-op movement in Rochdale, you know, they were poor and disadvantaged. They weren't thick. The problem is with Angela Rayner, people like Keir Starmer, people like Sadiq Khan, people at the top of the Labour Party think that what they need is some thickos off the council estate in order to prove that they care about working class people. Working class communities in Britain are stuffed full of phenomenally talented people. And I think the fact that Keir Starmer and the Labour Party can't tell the difference between a talented and genuine working class person and a complete moron like Angela Rayner, I think it just says a great deal about the Labour Party. You started this show talking about Reform UK. And that is what is happening to this country, because people are starting to feel alienated. Well, they're not starting to feel, they felt for a long time alienated by the political class. That's as true for Labour voters as it is for Conservative voters. And I genuinely think that what will happen is that people will stop listening to this and start moving towards a patriotic alternative. Reform UK. Now, I've told you that I remain a Conservative Party member, but I think the trajectory is what it is. I think if you think that Angela Rayner is a working class hero, you're definitely stupid enough to be friends with Keir Starmer.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.